You like my brownie, Joey?
Oh, it's sexier in hell.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Beyond Retro podcast. I'm Nathan Kennedy, here with Joe Amato, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Easily my favorite in the series. Joe, I remember you saying that this is your favorite, well,
Oh
sequel,
yeah,
because
I felt like
obviously the first film is at the top, but I'm saying in terms of sequels,
sequels. Yes, yes. Oh, and
this
just
is
to
the
let you know,
best.
yes, I felt like that nurse was talking to me too in Elm Street 3. I was like, Joey, I always felt like that. I just hate when Freddy was saying, "Oh, Joey," like when he was talking to him, freaked me out. But yeah. Well, speaking of sequels, yes, out of the whole series of Elm Street, yeah, this is my favorite, and it's like how I'd always debate, is part one my favorite or part three, and I always tell people pick and choose. Well, I mean, yeah, the first one is my favorite, and part three is my second favorite. The rest just kind of nah until we got to New Nightmare, and I was like, yeah, I'd make that my third. New Nightmare was damn good, but no, this is this. It's a movie to where, like I said, you forget about part two because part two is just absolutely forgettable to me. There's some
Yeah,
people that might like it,
well, I mean, there's some symbolism with the coach and the balls going everywhere.
I never thought of that. I just thought
Well,
this is just a
well,
horrible
that's
fucking
the thing.
movie.
People didn't either. But when I watched the documentary, or where they talk about all the movies with part two, they're like, yeah, there were a lot of homoerotic overtones in this.
Was that Never Sleep Again? That documentary? Is that what
Yes.
you're talking
Yeah.
about? Or okay, you know what? Is that available on YouTube? Because I still got to see the whole thing. I have not
Hmm.
seen the whole.
I don't know if it's available on YouTube. I knew for the longest time that it was either packed in a multi DVD pack with some other stuff. I remember one time it was just really cheap, like $5 at Walmart once. I was like, damn, I should have waited. But
Oh, okay. Well, I still have to see the whole thing. But
no,
no,
yeah,
this one.
no, it's fantastic. But when they break down
Yeah.
part two, I was, and at the time they were like, yeah, when we were filming it, we weren't even, that wasn't even crossing our minds. But then like we saw the finished product, and then we all started looking at each other like,
Oh, really?
huh,
Wow.
oh
I guess
yeah,
I
about
never.
that, huh?
I just. It was just so just horrible. It was just horrible and forgettable to me.
Yeah,
But when this came out, I
yeah.
was like, all right, this got back into it. But it's like we said before, as good as part three is by itself, it started the humor bit, unfortunately, for Freddy, because there was a couple of the funny one-liners in this that then they milked it in four, and then oh five, and then oh dear God, part six. It's like Freddy went from being this frightening nightmare demon to like your buddy, his Uncle Freddy. It's like I just wasn't feeling. And the makeup, like you said, went from being wet and burning, scary and frightening to kind of rubber faced and just you weren't scared of Freddy no more. So part three had its good
Well,
parts for
I,
its
I
humor,
mean,
and
I mean, personally, I was still afraid of him because the time frame these
I
came
just
out, I was still too young. But
oh well, my mind was warped by then, so I was like, yeah, just nothing was scary for him at all. But part three, this one was just it was this perfect mix, and the other thing is like when people say there was never strong female characters in any movies, and back then it's like, do you ever really look back at horror movies and think, damn, who are the ones that are basically the ass kickers and the protagonists, and the ones that are the heroes? It is the females. I mean, they were all in this movie, so it's like for anybody to say there's never been strong females, like let's go back to watch some of these horror movies and see what they did. I just loved it because it was just well, I mean, from the start, I'll let you go to who we start off with and how it goes into it because it doesn't waste any time of getting to Freddy. It happened damn quick. So I'll let you go, and then we can start mixing it up.
well, yeah, it's when you're talking about strong female characters, we have at least three. I guess you could say two and a half because I mean she's beautiful and bad, but
Yeah, yeah.
she she gets a few licks in later on, but doesn't really last too long. But no, we're introduced to Patricia Arquette, which I feel like she's sort of ashamed of this because she didn't participate in said documentary. So
Oh, really?
everybody else was there and talking about how great it was, and I don't think I feel like she wasn't in it. Now I'm starting to question myself. It's almost like when they're having their dreams, and that's also the wonderful thing that I enjoy about the series is you can also play with the dream state and the reality aspect, and that's a good way to always throw the audience off because you can be like, oh well, they're in this right here, and one character can turn around and boom, they're somewhere else. And you're like, oh shit, they're in the dream world now. But no,
Yeah.
we're introduced to her character who is listening to some Dokken at the beginning. The Dokken tracks that are used for this film are fantastic. Joe, I don't. we talked about genres of music, and we've sort of shed a little light on your backstory as a kid. We know that you lived in a location that was a little more urban. So were you a little more drawn to any of the hair metal rock stuff, or were you leaning towards
Well,
the
no,
early
and it's
days
nothing wrong.
early
It's
days of hip
yeah,
hop? Well, I'm
yeah,
just
hip hop.
saying,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
probably more of an influence there.
Well, yeah. I
Not
mean,
to
yeah,
make it sound
definitely.
like
Kind
that,
of.
but in an urban area,
Yeah, I
you
was
can.
never really into the rock or hardcore heavy metal or stuff. I mean, there were certain songs I can remember I'd hear the, hey, I thought it was cool, like Def Leppard, that Pour Some Sugar on Me. That was funky. We got into that, but no, I guess
You were
when I
into
was
New Kids on the Block. That's what it was. I got you.
no, no, no,
I
no,
got
no.
you.
Could you imagine? You look over at this wall. Joe, why don't you ever show that wall? And I got all these New Kids on the Block and all this other whatever bands they were back then, all hanging on the wall. But no, I mean, I guess I never flipped over the music track. I mean, I was just too much obsessed in the movie itself. I mean, I guess for any movie, even if there was something there was hip hop or anything that was funky, I guess sometimes I never thought about it. I just got sucked into the movie too much of like these characters and what was going on. But you're right. I know she had that music. She's blasting, trying to keep herself awake. I even like how it started. It's kind of just, who would have thought paper mache is looking gross? You don't even know what's going on. Just looking nasty. Like, what the hell is she doing? Then you see that she made the Elm Street house. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's and of course she has her conversation with her mother. And her
Yeah.
boyfriend that's yelling, "Where's the
Oh
bourbon?"
man. Yeah.
Which it
Wait.
was perfect later on. Oh, go ahead.
Yes. No. No. I was gonna say that line later on where that scene is sort of recreated is hilarious. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just she's staying awake. She's having problems, and her mom comes
Eating
home.
coffee and
Yeah.
drinking pop, trying to keep. Yeah, yeah.
And she's excited that her mom's home. It's like, oh hey, my mother, my comfort. And then you just hear like the dude downstairs, and
Elaine, where's the bourbon? Where you keep the bourbon or something? Yeah.
Yeah, and it leads into a good thing where it's the dream state, and it turns out like her mom pops back up there, and she's like slit her wrist, and that's how the movie starts, and you're just like, all right, well shit, here we go. So finds herself basically.
Well, how that happens? Well, like you've seen it when she goes, she's walking into the bathroom and she's of course dreaming, and then when she turns the faucet, it grabs her hand, and then the other one it pulls her wrist, and then you see Freddy in the mirror, and he turns that other handle into those blades, and then slashes her wrists. But then when she sees her mother comes in, breaks in, and screams, then you see she has a razor blade.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I was so she ends up basically in a mental institution with some other teenagers that come to find out they're having similar issues and dreams, and we get a very young and slim Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, exactly.
Which the roles that
Did he go by Lawrence? Real quick, did he go by Lawrence or Larry in that one?
Larry?
Because I know, I think
he went by he went by Larry.
Just like in Pee Wee's, didn't he in Pee Wee's Playhouse go by Larry Fishburne too?
Which is also weird to think about his body of work in the last 20 years, from Matrix to like John Wick. And
starting off with Pee Wee's Playhouse and Elm Street and other stuff, it's different.
Yeah, it's like night and day for him. He sounds different, he looks different, obviously. But I think one of the coolest things about this film is the callback and bringing Nancy back into the fold. And
I like that.
Yeah, as it turns out, she took all this experience and wanted to work towards something to where she could like help. So she's
with dreams and stuff, and then like the Hypnosil, that experimental stuff that stops dreams, and go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, so we have her and we have the other doctor, who is sort of like the conventional method guy, and she comes in. He's starting to question, like, well, here's this new experimental drug. She wants to try new things, and they sort of butt heads a little bit. But obviously, he's like, oh man, she's pretty. But I also like too how they also kept the little streak in her hair. That she got from the first movie. So we're introduced to all of these other kids, and who was your favorite out of the group?
And see, I had a toss between two, and again, it shows when you're growing up. There's, don't get me wrong, I guess there's some people that say, I want a character that looks like me and I can relate to. When I was growing up, I just enjoyed everybody was in a movie or a cartoon. Like when we say with Masters of the Universe, 80% of the characters are creatures and things that aren't even real. It's like I never thought, hey, I wish I could look like the Beast Man or a Merman. But in this, it's like, yeah, I love Kincaid and I love the Wizard Master. You'd think I would like Joey because that's my name, but I mean, he couldn't speak in this. Yes, his power at the end, he can finally scream. But I like Kincaid because he was a strong character. I like seeing, oh man, Freddy's gonna get his ass kicked, and just like even later, like I said, we're jumping all around this movie. Which is fine. We do it all the time.
I'm sure you like Kincaid anyway because he just talked a lot of shit.
He did, but he was strong, and I thought, oh man, he's gonna kick the shit out of Freddy. That's all you think in your head is you want somebody to kick ass. Because here's the thing about this: you finally see in this movie that they can use, like whatever they do in their dreams, they can use that against Freddy. Like, what do you like doing? You see, was it Kirsten or how did you say her name? Kristen? What was her? The main girl, was that her name? Kristen? I want to make sure I'm saying her. Okay, yeah. She does her kind of flipping and all that other shit and doing some kung fu, which was cool, but the one kid who couldn't walk and he's in the wheelchair in his dreams, of course, he's the Wizard Master. He liked playing like D&D type games, which, a lot of the nerdy kids, we like that shit, or role-playing games. So I thought it was cool how, he could walk, but that scene, as much as you like Freddy, you wanted the character to get his ass kicked. And when Freddy was sitting there, like saying, it's the chair for you, kid, and he had that, chair coming down. You remember, he's, I am the Wizard Master. I am the Wizard Master. He slammed the ground. He came up and then he just blasted that energy and shattered that chair. And when Freddy had that look like, oh shit, man, I remember the crowd, we were screaming our asses off. And then we say him in the name of Lorik, Prince of Alice, Demon Be Gone. He shot that energy. We were, oh, fuck yeah, because we thought he's going to kill Freddy. And then he started running up on him. I was like, God damn it, no. And then he grabbed him. I don't believe in fairy tales, kid, and kill. We were so pissed, but it was the first time we were thinking, somebody's going to match you, Freddy. You think you're a master in these dreams. This he's a wizard. And I really thought he was going to kill Freddy. And when he got killed, I was so fucking pissed. So I guess he might have been my favorite, and Kincaid my second favorite. But go ahead. You got me all emotional because goddamn, that was so cool. I remember that moment. We lost our shit in the theaters.
I would honestly have to say Kincaid is my favorite just because he was always getting in trouble. And I think...
Like you?
To be fair, as a kid, I never really got in trouble that much.
You were just a troublemaker. You kind of, like instigated shit. I know you were.
That's a yes. The older I got, I would stir the pot, but I always avoided trouble. So I think I always related to stronger characters that stood up for themselves and caused a ruckus if they ever had to. And Kincaid is... And it... Look, there's probably deeper issues there that the movie doesn't really dig into much, but Kincaid's my favorite. And
Freddy kind of played, if you notice, he played on almost everybody's like issue or emotion, like with Joey not being able to talk, and of course, but Joey had the hots for that nurse, and that nurse was hot too, good God. But so when
she was okay.
Yeah, she was great for me. But anyways, so yeah, when she was sitting there and a kiss and pull out his tongue, because remember he can't speak anyways, and to use tongues to wrap and bind him up, and then
Kincaid, tongue-tied, Joey.
Yeah, that's right. And then now Kincaid's super strong, but then when he's ready to get towards Freddy towards the end, and you see when Freddy just grabs him and picks him up, it's like, okay, showing you're strong, but I'm stronger. And then when Taryn, when she sat there, she, I'm beautiful and bad, and had those knives, like she wasn't scared. And when she was in the alley, she's fighting Freddy, and I loved it when she stabbed him, and then he used his normal voice, no like voiceover stuff, and he's trying to kind of get her mercy, but then again, he shows his fingers as being needles because she was a drug addict, and then injects so everything, and even the one girl, welcome to prime time, bitch, bam, pulling her, you always want to be in TV. He played off of anything, I guess, what was their kind of strengths or thought there were strengths or weaknesses, it seemed like in the movie, which worked great for every one of them.
Jennifer is the one that the TV hopeful. She wants to be on TV one day. This is gonna sound
forgettable character.
Yeah, but she also. Yeah. Kind of unforgettable because she had her face shape was weird. I know that sounds kind of mean, but it's like
I don't know what you're saying.
It just seemed like all of her features, everything was just smushed into the center of her face. She looked like I can't remember the character from Dick Tracy, but she looked like that.
Wait a second. Mumps, not mumps. What
Oh,
was the I know what you're saying. There's like
yeah, and then
some
this
kind
is
of
the
face.
part. Yeah, this is the part where
We
we
need
have
Tyler.
like, yeah, we would have to have Tyler here to
Yeah, because I don't
dig into that.
remember all of Dick Tracy. But no, she, like you said, she's kind of for me was the forgettable character, but she was also part of one of the most memorable lines when he was like, "This your big break, in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch," and then pulls her in, and of course, like so, that's became the whole humor of Freddy. So she was part of that moment. But as for her character, that was the one character I didn't flip over. Everybody else, though, I was into. I wanted every
Yeah.
one of these characters to live and survive, and well, as you see, most of them did make it to the next one, and of course, in that one, then a lot of them got off.
Yeah, they killed them all off again. But I think that's a memorable kill, and I also really enjoy the kill with Philip the Sleepwalker,
Yeah, that was freaky.
where he's
Yeah,
got his marionettes that are there on his bed, and then as he's laying there, it's like all of his ligaments come out, which is a great
it was gross. Yeah,
practical
I
effect.
remember
Yeah,
you thought.
yeah, walks him out to the edge, and then everyone else is just seeing him jump off.
Yep.
But that's also a really cool visual as well when he's there at the end, and then you see Freddy like superimposed in the sky.
Like he's the marionette, and that's his
Yeah,
puppet.
yeah. No, it was fantastic, and that's another thing that we always hammer this home every time we talk about any of these movies. Practical effects, practical effects, practical effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, CG cannot best any of that stuff. Like when he's gonna stab her in the arms, and you see little suckers like on her arms.
That looked gross to
Yeah.
me. Those little mouths. I mean, at first, I remember when I first seen it, I was like, are these eyeballs and mouths? What the hell are those? It was creepy. And then, hell, at the end, remember when, Nancy was saying he's stronger. I've never seen him this strong. He's like, yes, the souls of the children. He rips his shirt back. He's seen the faces. That had me almost want to vomit as a kid. That was freaky, too. Just picture nowadays, it'd be all CG, phony, and, just, like, I'm not saying CG don't work for some stuff. Of course it does. But sometimes it just, practical effects just, it seems more believable because you're seeing it for real. It looks like it's happening.
Yeah, and after you had the death of Philip, and through the TV, like they were just like, all right, enough is enough. Like you guys can't be here anymore. So they kicked Nancy and the other doctor. I can't remember his name. Neil Gordon. I got some of the stuff up here, so I can kind of like pinpoint, so we don't sound like total idiots on here. So they kicked them out, and it
The nun, you got to get to the nun, that creepy nun. You know what?
I was gonna jump ahead, but you're like, yeah. So during some of the funerals, Dr. Gordon starts to see a nun walking around and starts actually having conversations with this nun that starts to gradually shed a little more light on what exactly is happening. Because at this point, too, he's still not a firm believer of everything that's going on.
Right.
And I that's also like the beauty of it, because when he's talking to this nun, he turns around when someone else is like when Nancy comes up, and he turns around and then turns around and looks back, nun's not there. And that's also a good way, because you've already been played to with the whole thing of like, well, are they dreaming? Are they in a real state? What the fuck's going on? So that's a nice little twist. But we find that out at the very, very end, but there is the intriguing story that there was, she said a patient, correct? There was a patient that was locked away here, or was it another nun?
I couldn't remember if she said nun, orderly, or how she phrased it, but she said this woman was accidentally locked in with all these, like inmates, and there was like hundreds of maniacs that raped her, and that
yeah, she was raped over a couple hundred times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
which
basically,
the result would be,
and skip to the end. We're at another funeral, which I won't spoil that yet. Sees her again, goes and tries to follow. There's a tombstone. Amanda Kruger. It's like, holy shit, that was his mom. Yep. Now, do you think that was like too much backstory? Because to me, that almost felt unnecessary in this.
Well, what's funny is, it's like I said before, in a lot of these movies, and other types of cartoons, whatever. I was like, sometimes I don't care about like a backstory. I'm like, I really don't want it. Like, I like characters being evil to just be evil, and Freddy was one of them. I was like, I just figured this is just some fucking nutcase, and he killed kids and did other insane stuff, and the parents burned them, and now it's this evil demon that's come back to just go for their children now. And yes, it's an interesting backstory, and it led to them making, of course, more movies, and then they kept building upon, okay, then now this here's his daughter in part 6. So while it was an interesting twist to it and it worked for that, I felt like then it just we got too much as the movies went on. So in a way, it's like I don't know how they would have, if they could find a clever way of still writing it to give you more sequels without a backstory, it'd be great. Because like you said, that's the unfortunate thing, is now we have to give you a reason of why anybody's crazy, and then once you do that, you almost want to pity the person. Like, they find out Freddy later, like, oh well, they took his daughter away and they did this, and oh, the poor guy. But then you're thinking, okay, well, he was raped, like, oh, but he was abused everywhere he went. Like when you heard it in part 6, like all of his foster homes. Like, I don't want to feel sorry for Freddy. I guess if, like, let's say Elm Street just ended on part 3, it's kind of a twist that, oh, it would have been cool, but then ended. But then they just figured, oh shit, we did that, so now what else can we do?
We'll just have a dog piss on this and he's back to life.
Yeah, it just some things it went too much, and then the whole thing with the daughter in part 6, like I said, you're right, it kind of worked, but then went too much. I like just evil being evil sometimes. Let's just have an evil character and not pity the sucker.
Yeah, I think that was kind of my only issue with the movie, is just that those segments just felt like they didn't it was unnecessary. It didn't need to be there. To me, that felt more of like, because Wes Craven wrote the story, that it was just sort of his way of like shedding more light, but like in a way that just ultimately didn't work. And as you said before, that was sort of leading to all the other stuff that we got in the sequels. But
yeah, if it could have ended on 3, like I said, it just could have. It worked for what it was, and it was great, because 3 is my favorite. Just within, like you said, all the stuff that they can do in their dreams, the different characters, the seeing Nancy, like you said, return, and even her father later, because then within that backstory, you find out how the nun is saying you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that does lend itself to, all right, well, you have to find the bones and bury them and consecrate it and make it not evil anymore, which leads us to her reuniting with her father. And hey, it's always nice to see John Saxon again. He's just always got that stern, pissed off look on his face. I feel like I've never seen that man smile ever. But now he's just a big time drunk who's still like, oh, Nancy, you're still talking about all this shit. But at least with Dr. Gordon, he's like, all right, that's it. Flips over the table.
He kind of woke him up there. Yeah. Exactly.
Like only Joe would do. Flip the table over, slams the gate. He's like, all right, this is what we're doing. And I do like the part when they do get there. He's always taking the keys out of the ignition so he can't go anywhere. But it's strange in a scrapyard, because it doesn't seem like it was still in business. And yet I'm like, why are all these cars still, like, they get rid of that shit? Those remains would have been gone a long time ago.
Well, that was the thing that I used to question was, okay, is it not in business, or is it still, in business?
It looked like it was, but maybe it was abandoned.
Yeah. Because, that's the part I had to like throw out of my head, was the thought of, okay, if it's still in business, you're telling me somebody never went in there and wanted to get a part off of that car or these cars? Because, people are scrappers. They need, I need a headlight. Oh, I need a bumper. But that's why I was like, I just ignored it. But yeah, you find out that the bones are buried in the back trunk of one of those vehicles. And they have to get it. They have to dig a hole. And they have to, of course, then, throw the holy water on it and bless it and whatever. And yeah, which during this whole thing, when Freddy, I think that's when he's holding Kincaid, and then he sensed his bones were getting ready to get touched. And then he just disappeared. Yeah. It disappeared, and then boom, the skeleton kind of came up, and for then it looked real cool. Like looking back at it now, it's like, wow.
I always love that stuff. The stop motion and how they use that as like with the actors and the technology that they had to do that. I always appreciate it. Kids today will probably watch it and be like, yeah, that's corny.
And they'd laugh because it's very noticeable, but still, it was cool. And he's having the fight with, Freddy Skeleton. And of course, Freddy Skeleton then kills Nancy's father. But so then later when they're back into the dream and
Yeah.
everything, and then Freddy's pulling everybody in the mirrors and Joey's hiding in the corner, and finally he just screams no, and then boom, shatters all the mirrors, and they all come out and they think, oh my god, Joey found his superpower, he can talk now, and that's what killed Freddy. And then here comes like a spirit of Nancy's father, and he's
Yeah.
being crossed.
I've
You know,
crossed over. I've crossed over.
crossed-
But that was
that's
also like a good like bait and switch because you're like you just
it
saw him
was.
die and it made sense.
And it was perfect. See, for like Nancy wouldn't have known. We knew, but then he says, "Yeah, he crossed over," and they played that good, peaceful music that puts you at ease. Just like, "Oh, wow, this is great!" And then suddenly, boom, Nancy made that face, and it's Freddy, and he's killing her. And then at the same time, that doctor, did you say it's Ian? What the fuck's his name?
Neil Gordon.
Okay,
Dr. Neil.
Neil. Isn't it terrible? I don't even remember his fucking name, but yeah, there you go. Thank you, Neil. Sorry about that. Yeah, so he after he got bashed in the head with the shovel over there in the junkyard, he took the bones that were there and shoved them in that hole, and then he starts saying the ashes, dust to dust, and he starts throwing holy water, and then you see Freddy in the nightmare, boom, splashes of light and everything as he's getting killed, and then he laid that demon to rest by putting the cross on his forehead, and he killed him. So, bam, that was it. But, of course, Nancy, she died. And that was sad because, you were so excited to see her when she popped up. And I'm like, oh, damn it, she's dead. And they had the funeral for her. And, of course, you said you seen the thing with Amanda Kruger. And as much and as cool as it was how you always wanted Freddy or Jason or Michael to get killed, at the end of every movie, you always, as a fan, still wanted, are they going to give a hint that they're still going to do another one? Whether it's Jason opening an eye or something else.
Yep.
And then with that little paper mache house that's in Neil's house, you just seem to like go, bing. It came on. It's like, oh, there's going to be another. It's bizarre. You always wanted the villain to die, but you wanted more movies.
Well, because they're a fun experience. I never got to see any of these in a theater, so I never had that. But if I had, then I definitely would have wanted that. I feel a sneeze coming on. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead and sneeze if you're going to sneeze. I thought you said you were going to sneeze.
It kind of went away. I was just gonna pass it over to you to talk, and I can just mute. It went away.
Oh, okay, go. Yeah, but yeah, I remember that like in the same thing with the Friday the 13th movies. You always wanted the hint. When you seen the jump scare at the end, or even like at the end of part 6, when you figured, oh, but he's drowned, he's done, and then that eye opens, like, oh yeah, another one. And that part 7, goddamn, I love 7, but that'll be another day. I can't remember if we ever talked about just 7 by itself of Friday the 13th.
I mean, we could.
Yeah, someday. But this movie, yeah, for me, it was perfection. This is one that if we were to rate with 5 stars, I do give this a 5. Like I said, it was great for its own standalone movie, which, like I said, it did start spawning the insanity afterwards. But for itself as its own movie, it's just, I love part 3. 1 and 3 are just, that's it. And, and like I said, New Nightmare and Joy, but I love part 3. And yeah, I give this sucker a 5 out of 5 stars.
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5, and I feel like this sneeze is still just sort of lingering. I think too that this has the best poster of the entire series, at least to me. But it is kind of funny that the kids that are on the poster, none of that is reflective to anything that happens in the movie.
Seems like a lot of things happen with half of those movies with the posters.
Well, you have to put it on the poster to like really sell it. But I'm surprised no one's gone back and just sort of redone it and had the different kids like have like the wizard power and like her with the 2 knives there. Instead, you just get like a dude with like a mace. I'm gonna have to look at the poster again because it.
No, that would be. Yeah, I still remember.
Yeah, there's just like all right. So there's a dude with a mace. There's like a chick with like a white hair mullet thing with like a couple knives. You got a guy in a red shirt and a Superman pose with just like a bat hanging. It looks like it's in his hand. It's a small picture. And then you have like the main in the center wearing a dress. And I'm like, none of that's there. So maybe someone recreated it, and that would be kind of...
Hey, if anywhere to check, you could always check posters from possibly Japan and other countries, because I've noticed that they would take usually what happened in the movie and try to then draw it in their own poster, or even some other times they even go just far out in left field and draw stuff that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like Halloween 2. I don't know if you ever seen the Halloween 2 poster, I think from Japan or China. You have like... You see Michael Myers' mask, and under his neck it looks like a zombie. Like maybe they thought he was a zombie, and and drew like the needle that was being put into the eye of that nurse in part 2 that got put into the hot water. They show that, which it's a cool image of being drawn, but the whole zombie thing is like, is that what they see
Oh
Michael
yeah,
Myers
yeah,
zombie?
I'm looking at it now.
Oh, you are? Yeah, it's a cool
Yeah,
poster, but I was like, that's a poster I'd actually like to own if I could ever find a real actual poster of that somewhere. It actually looks kind of cool. It's bizarre, but
yes,
still worth
yeah,
owning.
it's not too bad. And I know that like Italian movie posters would take liberties with plots and things as well. And it's like none of that shit even happened. Why is it on the poster? Lots of tendencies to do that, but you have to because back then that was like between that and if you were actually in the theater and saw a trailer, that's all you got.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
TV spots back in the day for movies, though they existed, were very minimal and showed you absolutely nothing. That's like, oh, I want to go see that.
Hmm.
So it was
Yeah.
basically
No,
it was all word of mouth, the art, and being there to see an actual trailer, which
I get art. Art really did help sell a lot of those movies, even when there's bad ones. I told you how many movies I picked up when I'd go to rent something at the video store. The box art was
yes.
beautiful, amazing, and the movie could suck, but that box art made you pick it up. I can't say that's really said for movies nowadays because they
Mm.
just take pictures of the actor standing there.
Yeah, it's
Ooh,
all just floating head photoshops.
yeah, it's like, ooh, that's hard. It's Joe Amato work where it looks like shit, but I guess it can work for a fucking box art. That's, yeah, that's crazy.
That's what
But
you should start doing. You should start just making your own movie posters and box arts for things. It's like this is my idea for Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's just I don't even know what you would do. It's
yeah,
hard.
like, hey, this is great, man. God, they got some shit. Yeah, so next week, I don't know what you'd want to do. I still would love to not do a comparison, but like I said, we've had Never Hike Alone. We did the commentary, or we talked about that, which was fantastic. But recently, that Friday the 13th, was it Vengeance? That
Yeah,
fan film that just came out.
I haven't watched it, Joe. I'm hearing bad things, so.
Nathan, well, like I said, I think you should watch it, and then we could like do a little comparison of them both to kind of give fans our thoughts on two different type of fan films of Friday the 13th. But
What one that's very good and one that's really shitty?
well, it's just to bring up stuff. Like I said, it's not really insulting Vengeance. It's just the thought of, okay, you have something like Never Hike Alone with, yes, there's that big, appearance at the end of Tommy, which is very cool, but it focuses basically on two people the whole entire movie. It's not full of tons of actors. It's not all tens and twenties of cameos. And it sometimes shows that, you know what? You don't need to have a giant cast. You don't need to have all these stars of, hey, part 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and all these to make a great movie. Just write a good ass movie, do good visuals, have good sound, make it believable, and it's quite a difference. Like I said, I'm not completely shitting on Vengeance. It's just I would love to hear other people's thoughts on it. It just I feel like Never Hike Alone didn't get as much exposure as it deserves. It should, and I don't know if it's because Friday the 13th is not in the title of the movie. Because I go to YouTube and I'm like, how the hell does this not have more hits? I mean, there should be millions of people that seen Never Hike Alone. It's that damn good.
What if, because I haven't watched Vengeance yet, what if...
And do a commentary of it?
What if we just do a commentary and we straight up, it's just like my first time watching.
Okay. How about that? We'll do that next week. We'll do commentary and your thoughts live for Vengeance.
Okay.
Next week. I like that.
All right.
Okay.
That'll work. I do want to make one recommendation. There's a film that I watched last night. If you guys have Amazon Prime, you got Prime Video, there's this movie that came out. Well, it says 2016, but it didn't really get like a big release. It's called The Barn, and it has that aesthetic. It takes place in 1989. They do a pretty good job of making it look older. I won't go too much into the story.
Don't spoil it because I'd like to see it. Yeah, don't spoil nothing for me. I'd like to see it too.
But
The Barn.
They probably could have trimmed about 10 minutes or so, but it was a fun ride. So if you guys have Prime Video, check out The Barn.
The Barn. Okay.
It was a cool film. I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, I think that's probably what you had in closing. So, after we're done, I'm going to be taking off here in just a bit. But no, that was a good episode. I always loved Elm Street. Like I said, I still give it a 5 out of 5. Nathan gave it a 4 out of 5.
What you got planned, Joe? Going to the hot topics?
No, not hot topics actually. Well, I gotta go get medicine. So
Oh, all right. Well, there we go. Medicine.
There you go.
We'll put that in quotations. Medicine.
Right.
We'll leave it ambiguous. But we hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when new videos are posted, or when I go live for Beyond Retro Arcade, which might actually happen today, Joe. I'm not entirely...
All right.
No, I've been saying this for like 3 months. It's like I'm egging him on.
It is, but if it happens, tag me.
Yeah. If it happens, Joe should have rang the bell so he's notified when it's happening.
I do ring the bell.
And we hope you guys do the same. If you enjoyed the episode, hit like, share it, leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on this film and
subscribe. Subscribe too.
Well, that's what I said earlier.
No, you said like, share, and ring the bell. I don't think you said subscribe. You can go back and rewatch it. You missed one of them. I know you did.
I bet I don't think I did, Joe. Anyway, subscribe, yes. Check out all the links down below. Hit Joe up for a custom figure. Buy one of his t-shirts and check out Fans of Power, the Master Universe podcast. Interactive, live podcast. Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Anything else, Joe? Joe's got to get his medicine.
That's it.
We'll let him we'll let him hit the road. And until then, we'll see you in the future to talk about the past. Take care, everybody.
See you.